everyone, to Virtual Voices. I am Jason Steffenhagen, the Associate Minister at The Well, and this is a podcast series brought to you by The Well, Minnesota, a UMC church in Rosemont, Minnesota. And so we are really glad that you are joining us. And today, I have some special guests with me. I have John and Linda Shirley, and I'm excited to get to know them better as I'm kind of new to the church, but I don't think they are. So, John and Linda, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you found yourself at The Well.
Well, John and I have been married for 47 years.
Congratulations.
We have 4 children, and we'd lived in Bloomington almost our whole married life, pretty much our whole married life. But we moved out here to Apple Valley, Rosemont area about 7 years ago. And we came to the Well because we knew the Well because we had been involved with Cursillo, Unidos and Cristo. Yep. And we'd actually both served on teams there. We knew a lot of people from the Well from Cursillo. And we thought we'd just go check it out. And the first time we came, we knew so many people. It just kind of felt like home right away.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the other things is that we went to a church in Bloomington for a long time. It was a small church, about the size of the Well, and really felt that community involvement. You know, you knew people.
Yeah.
And then for a while, we left that church, and for a while we were going to one of the very large churches. Good preaching, good music, all of that. But after a few years, we kind of looked at each other and thought we were missing that intimate,
a church family.
Church family, that's a good way to put it. So when we went into the Well, it instantly felt like a church family. And I remember one of the incidents, I don't know if I'd call this a clincher or not for joining the Well, but it sure helped, was we were walking out of church and being introduced to a couple of people that we didn't know. And one of them, and I know who she was, and I won't mention any names, but looked up at me and said, "What are you doing next Saturday? Do we need help setting up for the bazaar?" This is my first time in the church, in a number of years, and coming to check it out. So Saturday I showed up and it was fun, and then we joined a short time after that.
That's the key to getting to really being involved in a church is to get involved and to get to know other people, which is hard for new members, that we've had like during this pandemic times. So.
Yeah. Well, no, you guys are right on. I mean, getting involved is what creates an attachment and a connection. That's where, and it's often the place where you build relationships is when you get involved. When I was working in college ministry for 16 years, that's what we always told students. Like, the number one thing you can do to feel a part of this community is to start getting involved in it and join a club, apply for a leadership position, whatever it takes, join an athletic team, play intramurals, because we know that if you do that, you're going to create better friendships, and those friendships are going to create a stickiness to the place. And so, it's amazing that you were willing to come after one Sunday to volunteer for the bazaar, but I think that speaks both to the Well, but also it speaks to who you guys are. And so tell me a little bit about the ways that you've been connected to the Well, whether that's, helping at the bazaar or in other ways.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead?
Go ahead first. Well, currently I'm on the operations team, really focusing more attention on the finance side. Doing that, enjoying that. It's kind of up my alley with my background and so on and so forth. So I'm enjoying that. When I look back to pre-pandemic times, really getting involved in a lot of I'll say the bazaar type things, not bazaar as in strange, but bazaar as in church bazaar.
Right.
But thinking back like to the women's tea and being one of the servers, that would bring the tea around and wait on the tables. And I just had a ball doing that. That was so much fun.
Doing dishes at funerals.
I've done a lot of dishes. I've done a few dishes at funerals. There's a few old timers that probably have more in than me, but it was one of the things that they told us at the other church we were in: never admit to knowing how to run the dishwasher. I made that mistake of admitting that I knew. Linda still doesn't know how to run it. Never will.
Smart.
Oh.
So But that's all fun, it's lefse making day, getting together with a few folks that make lefse and,
Yeah,
and just chatting and having fun and doing that. So there'll probably be have been a few other things, but
sure.
still
That's great.
that's it.
So in the past, I've gotten involved. I like working in the kitchen,
Hmm.
and so
Except the dishwasher.
except the dishwasher.
Understandable. Understandable.
So I've helped. I've helped with funerals. We did Wednesday night dinners for a while,
Yes.
and we have helped with just various things. I'm serving funerals and left some making day, like John said. And so during the pandemic, um, the other thing I have to say is we're involved. We have a small group that we're a part of, and we
Mm,
came to this small group because there was just a church-wide book study, and
mhm,
so they were encouraging everybody to get in a small group. So we did,
mhm.
and the group now we've been part of that group for about 7 years. There's
Wow.
about 8, 9 couples that are in the group, and it that has been the glue that has kept us really connected, because we've come to trust and love each other, and pray for each other, and admit our struggles.
Mm,
It's so important to have that. But one of the things that we did is during the pandemic, our small group, many are retired in the group, and we were like saying, we feel so helpless.
mm,
We want to get out there and we want to help. We want to be able to do things and help other people know that they're cared for, but we can't, because we can't be out with other people. John and I we help my dad. My dad is 87, and I was really careful in the beginning of the pandemic not to be out among other people, because I wanted to be able to go see him,
right.
and I didn't want to expose him. So we came up with some things, and one of the things for me was that I wanted, um, I I like to make cards, and so I started making cards for the church. And
Mhm.
we didn't even have a church directory with addresses in it. So Bonnie Student was very sweet about forwarding me addresses, and I think we actually went through all of the membership list
Wow.
and all of the regular visitors. We tried to get as many people as we could, and made cards and sent them out. And John was useful in that, because he ran to the post office to me time and time, for me time and time again, to buy stamps. And then the other thing that we I felt really called for is when we were talking about Sherry was talking about young families in the
Mhm.
church, and I don't know that I would have been able to do what they do. I mean, so many are
Mm.
working and then kids home all the time. Frankly, it would have drove me crazy. And so we were trying to think of what we could do. And so, Jen Spickelmeyer has been really good about forwarding names for young families that are having a hard time. Maybe they've been sick, maybe they had COVID, maybe their kids are just, they've just had it too. And just to know that there are people in the church that care, and
Mhm.
that we're still a church family, even though we
Mm.
can't see each other.
Yeah.
So you make meals.
Yeah.
And so we've made meals,
And so
yeah.
you've made
Right.
meals.
Yeah.
And
I've
not just
had
me,
people
like
tell me that your
our
meals. I've had people tell me about your meals, and they
Oh,
they
really?
sound lovely, and it sounds amazing. And I think you bring up such a unique perspective on it when it comes to you know people are experiencing the pandemic differently, and when you mentioned some of the reasons why a family might need it, I was thinking whether they're sick or going through something, and also they're just in the midst of a pandemic with little kids running around all the time, and that alone is exhausting. And so, as you mentioned, and so I think what you've been able to provide for people, just a night off from cooking, is just so like helpful. My wife and I, we do family dinners with her parents on Thursday nights now that they're vaccinated, and we've been able to spend more time with them. And I love that night because I know that's one night I don't have to cook or worry about where the food's coming. And I love my mother-in-law's cooking. And so it's a great night. And so I can imagine how much people have appreciated what you're doing. So thank you both so much for the ways that you serve. So what else has been keeping you guys busy during this pandemic?
Okay, well, I like to do a little woodworking in the garage, and I didn't get trained in it. I don't really even know what I'm doing. Every new project is new, and you got to figure it out. But I enjoy it, and through the pandemic, since you're not out and about, um, I had a lot more time to do that. So just building things in the garage.
Yeah.
Uh, Linda is a very good cook, and so as we've talked about with the meals, but she's a very good cook, and I'd like to know more about that. So we did a lot of cooking together in
Nice.
over the pandemic, and you can't go out to eat, right, for many months,
Hmm.
and so we did a lot of cooking here. So I became her sous chef, and
Wonderful.
what I realized after a while was that was a French term that meant dishwasher.
There's a theme for this
Well,
podcast.
well, I can speak French,
There you
uh,
go.
but enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
we had fun together doing that. So that I think is what's kept me going. Plus, we are also in a Bible study
Hmm.
that meets on Monday night, and there are lessons you do each day to get to that
Sure.
point, and it really runs the school year. So it's from about September to we just ended, and that has kept us busy.
This year it was a 30-week study of the book of John.
Oh,
And
cool.
so we met on Monday nights and went through our lesson, for about an hour every Monday night. And then there was a lecture that we listened to, about a 45-minute lecture afterwards. And so that was another way that we were able to connect. And
Hmm.
then we also connected, on Zoom with our friends.
Yeah.
And so we had friends that we used to do game night with, and
Yeah.
we came up with some game nights on Zoom that we could do. And we did some happy hours,
Yeah.
with different friends, and
Coffee,
coffee. Oh, totally coffee.
coffee.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just kind of a time that we kind of set aside. So we tried to do that once a week with different groups of friends,
Oh, that's great.
and we were intentional about that. And then I just, like I said, we helped my dad out. So I was with my dad 1 or 2 days a week, bring a meal over to him one night. And I
Hmm.
did all his grocery shopping for him too. So
Wow.
he didn't have
Wow.
to go out to the store. So that was wonderful.
Mhm.
So you guys have both stayed really busy and been pretty involved with a lot of different things. But if you could provide like one, like kind of what's one thing that you've learned, whether that's something from, the Bible, something about your own spiritual growth, or relationally, what's one thing that you've learned during this pandemic?
Want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, studying the Bible not just this year, but just in general, and also looking at a lot of the Old Testament stuff. God has a plan,
Hmm.
and God is in control. And I think even through all of this, just knowing God is in control and a loving God that wants to take care of us. Uh, I also recognize that we don't always know His plan.
Right.
And so if there are pieces of His plan that we don't understand, I'm okay with that. So, granted, there are a lot of parts of this pandemic we just don't get, we just don't understand why.
Hmm.
But just kind of going back to my faith, we serve a good God who has this under control, and it's all part of a plan. And in the end, we know it'll be okay. So just if nothing else, it was patience, learning
Sure.
patience, um, and just trust and knowing that we serve a higher power that knows more than we do.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I would say the pandemic has taught me how much we need each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it was such a joyous day, the day that we were able to go back to church for me.
Hmm.
It was such a good feeling.
Hmm.
I feel like getting the vaccine has kind of opened the door a crack, and then we can
Yeah.
start, you know, um, feeling normal again.
Hmm.
And so that's been really good. But, just being connected with people has just really been important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
In the
So what?
I should say in the beginning, I was really obsessed with watching the news
Yeah.
and and it was not a good thing for me.
Mm,
John finally said you can watch 1 hour of news a day, 1 hour,
yeah.
and that
Did that help?
it totally helped. It totally
Yeah.
helped. It was just too much. I was just, it just increased the worry. So
Sure. Yep. Yeah, the news can do that. And in some level, that's the way they make it, is to keep you coming back. And
yeah.
sometimes that's to, we get a little nervous, and that brings us back. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, that's understandable. So putting those parameters in place can be really helpful for our own well-being. So good work on both of you for that. So what are you looking, you mentioned, being vaccinated and getting back into church and other things. What's something that you guys are looking forward to now that we're kind of starting to see things open back up, and, having a few new opportunities or getting old opportunities back? What are you guys looking forward to?
For me, it's we have 4 children and 10 grandchildren.
Mm,
2 of our children, one lives in Alaska
wow.
and the other lives in Las Vegas. They're stationed in
Mhm.
Las Vegas with the Air Force, and we have not seen either of them. It's been
Mm,
2 years, I think, since we've seen our son in Alaska,
wow.
and it's been about a year and a half since we've seen our daughter and their 3 kids in Las Vegas. So I'm looking forward to seeing them again. The other kids live in, we have 10 grandchildren. So the other 7 grandchildren live in town, but we
Okay.
haven't really been able to see them because they're
Sure.
not vaccinated. They're, young enough that they're out there mixed up with everything. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mhm. Well, I think a couple things. One is the travel, like Linda said. We like to travel in different places and so on and so forth. And last year we canceled 2 trips that
Hmm.
we had planned because of the pandemic. It would be nice to be able to pick those up again and do some of that. The other thing that I'm looking forward to, and we tend to always say, I want to hug my grandkids and I want to be, with the family. And we did see the 7 grandkids that were in town here. We were able to see them, at a distance and outside, and and some of those kind of things. But the one thing I really missed was actually being able to get together with friends that that became your social um, circle prior to the pandemic, and that
Hmm.
ended. And
Hmm.
so now that we're in a circle with other people who are vaccinated, we're starting to be able to get together with some of those folks. And we just enjoy their company. Have known them for years, and we want to be able to get back together with them and
Yeah.
just have a meal and socialize.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I can second that. That is something I'm looking forward to as well, and being able to travel. I'm excited for you guys to hopefully be able to replan some of those trips and pick them back up and get out to Alaska or Las Vegas, and see people and see family and grandkids. And I mean, what a joyous time that will be. And we're all looking forward to that. And so I hope God's best for both of you. Thank you so much for joining us on Virtual Voices. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your time and your passion for this church. And I'm sure what you've talked about will inspire others to get involved. And especially as we start to open up more and more, it'll be fun to see who gets involved and how we can continue to grow the well. So thanks for joining me today.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.